Hello all my chickadees, welcome back. I'm Faelel Sparrow, and today we're going to be diving back into the world of Danmei, which is Chinese BL novels. And today I have a heck of a one for you. It is called Drowning Sorrows in Raging Fire. And as you can see here, it has an anime, which is called John Hua, I think. And oh, it's so pretty. Look at it. Yes. But we're going to be reading the novel, not watching the Danmei today. But I thought you guys would like to see some pretty boys, because, you know, I'm always up to seeing some pretty boys. But, boop, here's the novel. Alright, here we go. This has been fan translated by Lotus Scribe, or, you know, our translator is called Skye. And I'm going to have a link down below so you guys can go check it out for yourself if you so wish to. Or if you want to, you know, wait and read along with me, that's perfectly fine as well. And we're going to go ahead and dive on in. We're starting off with chapter 0, which pretty much is like the prologue, I believe. Okay. Alright, I'm going to get me a drink real quick and we're going to dive in. So this is a good chance for everybody to make sure you have some snacks with you. Some nice snacks. Okay. In the 21st year of the Qi dynasty, the frost descended. A group of riders on horseback were galloping on the official road, both people and horses covered in dust. Suddenly, the young leader shouted, "The boundary marker is here!" Not far away stood a stone stele, over 10 feet tall, with blood-red characters dancing on it, fierce and threatening. It read, "Chi-1, no living being may pass. Trespassers will have their bones crushed and ashes scattered." In front of the stele, a middle-aged warrior with a team of guards welcomed them. The guards wore armor and held sharp weapons, kneeling in unison. "Greetings to your royal highness." The young leader dismounted from the horse. His horse had not yet stopped, and he stumbled slightly as the warrior went forward to support him. "Be careful, your highness." "It's fine." The young man waved his hand and asked, "Where is my father?" As he spoke, someone nearby called out his nickname. "Zhao Tonger, come here." The young crown prince looked in the direction of the voice. It was a man in black, standing alone at the other side of the stele that read, "Trespassers will be killed." He took a quick glance at the blood-red characters on the stele, and without hesitation, he dashed across it nimbly and knelt before the man in black. The man in black reached out to steady him. "Be steady. No need to rush." The man spoke and acted with calmness and grace. He appeared mature and dignified from behind, but when he turned his head, he revealed a face that was unmarked by time, looking somewhat eerie and out of place. Just by looking at his face, no one could ever imagine that he was Shisha, the emperor of a Qi who had already been on the throne for 21 years. Oh wow, he's got a baby face, doesn't he? His eyebrows were like swords, not prominent, sloping into his temples. The corners of his eyes tilted downward with a hint of tenderness and sentimentality, presenting a handsome and proper appearance. The crown prince stood up and called out softly, "Uncle." It turned out that this crown prince was not the biological son of Emperor... Sorry, I had to scroll down. It turns out that this crown prince was not the biological son of Shisha. As Shisha had no children of his own, he adopted his late brother's orphan child and made him the crown prince. Shisha was naturally distant and cold, not fond of being close to others, so in public, the crown prince referred to him as father. But in private, the two still addressed each other as uncle and nephew. Shishao said to the crown prince, walking with me on this side of the border marker. Are you afraid? The Crown Prince replied, No. I have heard that when my uncle was young, he defeated Chiwang, conquered evil spirits, and killed 1,000,000 ghost soldiers, restoring our country. Although I'm not even 1 or 2% as good as you, I dare not speak lightly of fearing your reputation. What reputation? Do you mean infamy? Shisha smiled and walked forward. Did you hear anything just now? The Crown Prince listened carefully for a while, but there was only silence of the world, only the sound of the wind. He shook his head. I don't hear anything. Xin Shao smiled. Yes, there's nothing to hear. The Crown Prince was taken aback, and suddenly remembered a legend he had heard when he was young. It said that the fiery abyss of Chiwang was seeded with the vengeful souls of 1,000,000 fallen soldiers, whose resentment reached the heavens. As a result, the fierce winds in the Great Canyon never stopped, and those standing outside the boundary marker could hear the screams and cries from the other side. But at this moment, he was walking around safely inside the boundary marker, and everything was fine except for the unbearable heat. The Crown Prince thought to himself, folklore is really just hearsay and exaggeration. After walking just over 100 meters outside the boundary marker, he already felt the heat wave rushing towards him. It was already deep autumn, and the Crown Prince was only wearing a thick padded jacket, which was already soaked with sweat. The beads of sweat were rolling down his forehead, but he secretly glanced at his uncle and resisted the urge to wipe it away. Emperor Chichong's reputation was not very good. Those Jianghu artists fabricated stories that he was a capricious madman. They said he was born in a pool of blood from his father and brothers, and his birthplace was inauspicious. They also said that he killed his mother, killed his teacher, burned books, banned speech, colluded with evil officials, waged war, and slaughtered loyalists. But in the young Crown Prince's heart, this man was his only relative. No matter what happened, this man was always gentle and calm. He had never seen him speak harshly or act without grace. The Crown Prince had looked up to him since he was a child. Now, as an 18-year-old heir, he could shoot the heaviest bow and govern the country with skill, but he still instinctively followed the man's back like he did when he was a child. After they passed the boundary marker, they walked for over a mile, and Xin Shao stopped. The smell of sulfur had already begun to fill the air, and the Crown Prince was having difficulty breathing. We'll stop here for this year. If we go any farther, the heat will harm us, said Xin Shao. The Crown Prince was confused. This year? Yes, this year. Xin Shao reached out and pulled out the Crown Prince's sword, which had protective charms engraved on it. When the scorching wind from Chiwon swept over the sword, the charms on the blade turned red. Xin Shao plunged his sword into the ground and said, "This is the first thing I want to tell you, and it is the most important. I've been entangled with Chiwon for a lifetime, and I've finally achieved some results. If my estimation is correct, this sword can be pushed forward 5 miles every year. In less than 10 years, the fire of Chiwon should be completely extinguished. And when the fierce winds disperse and the sword reaches the edge of the cliff, you can send people from the Qiping division to stay here permanently." The Crown Prince was taken aback, vaguely sensing a different meaning from his words. Father, you..." Xing Shao said faintly, "I will pass the throne to you." The Crown Prince knelt down with a thump. In fact, the Crown Prince was somewhat prepared in his heart. During the past year, Emperor Chichong? Guys, I have a cheat list. Okay, let's be honest. I have a cheat list here. Emperor Chichong had gone on 2 inspection tours to suppress the 4 corners of the kingdom, and gradually let go into the internal affairs, orderly paving the way for the future generation and letting the crown prince take the reins of the kingdom. But when it really came to this day, the young heir was still at a loss as to what to do. I have taught you what you need to know, Xin Chao said without looking at him. As for the rest, Zhang Bo and Kong Yu can be trusted. Chao Quan is still in prison. He is innocent. Release him and exterminate the Chao family. He will serve you well in the future. Do not speak ill of your father. If it is inconvenient for you to talk about me in the future, just blame everything on Yang Dong. That little guy is not a good person. He's been living comfortably for these years. I raised him as a gift for you. Alright, let's pause for a second. Okay, so the crown prince is actually the nephew of the king, but he was adopted because his dad died. Well, I guess both of his parents died. So, alright, got that one. And now he's talking about, like, he's gonna die. He's passing on the crown to his nephew now. But, and giving him all these instructions, like, you can trust these guys. This guy's in prison, but if you let him out and, forgive his family, he'll serve you well. And then he's just like, oh, and blame everything on this one guy. It's not a good guy. He's giving him, like, pointers. Like, he's already set everything up for this guy to be able to rule. But why? Why is he wanting to pass it on so quickly? Why did he raise that guy as a gift for him? Did he raise him just so he would be able to have a scapegoat? The crown prince knelt deeply on the ground. Father, may you live long and prosperous. A faint smile appeared on Xingsha's face. What? Are you planning on letting me work until I am old and still breathing? Or until I'm buried under the soil? I have been worried about you for half my life, so take some pity on me too. The Edict of Abdication. Zhong Bo and Kang Yu. Wait, sorry. Feng Chong? Feng Chun? Each have a copy. Old Feng was your father's closest friend, and he will protect you. Don't be afraid. The crown prince's eyes turned red. Xingsha stood with his hands behind his back, looking towards the direction of Chiwan. Suddenly he asked, do you remember how your biological parents died? The child does not dare to forget. Your child does not dare to forget, even for a day. That's good. Xingsha nodded. You have grown up and learned how to walk your own path. Go. Qiyang will be destroyed, but there'll still be some residue warmth here. It is not good to stay here for too long. What about you? I will stay for a few more days. Xingsha waved his hand, not saying much. The country cannot be without a ruler. The affairs in the capital are complicated, so go back quickly. Uh-oh. He is just like, Yep, you can't stay here long, but I'm staying here for a few days. You go back. Oh dear, is he gonna kill himself? That's not cool. Emperor Chichong's words were final, and the crown prince did not dare to disobey the order. He had to reluctantly leave with his head turning back thrice. When he reached the boundary marker, he couldn't help but glance back at the man. He saw Xingsha sitting on the ground before his sword and his back to him. In that moment, the crown prince inexplicably felt a sense of farewell, but immediately shook his head, feeling he was just dizzy from the heat. He knelt in front of the boundary marker, saluted the man in black meticulously, and then hurried back to the capital overnight, heading towards his own destiny. After seeing off the crown prince, Xingsha ordered the guards to wait at the official post, and only one close attendant stayed behind. As night fell, the attendant came to Xingshao's side, knelt down, and curled up his body. His armor fell off his body, and after a moment, his robes fell to the ground. There was actually a small bird the size of a palm that flew out and approached Xinxiao closely. Wait. So it wasn't actually an assistant? Was that a bird, an assistant's, like, body? Oh, goodness. Wow, okay. Though that's a way to hide a bird. I nearly forgot about you. Xinxi, scratched the bird's neck with his finger, and a very fine gold wire was hooked out from its neck. The wire was adorned with intricate inscriptions, as if it was grown on the bird's neck. Xinxiao gently pinched the wire, and it instantly shattered on his fingertips. Suddenly the bird raised its head, its body growing more than 10 times in size, and its wings spread out. It lifted its head and let out a long howl, stirring up the starry sky in the southern night. Turned out to be a young bee-fang. Big bird. Xinxiao stood up and said, "From now on, you don't have to monitor me or be driven by me. We are both free." The being-fang hesitated for a moment and timidly held onto his clothes. The man turned his head and looked at it. The little bee-fang shrank back and loosened its beak nervously under his gaze. Xia took off his headgear, crookedly placed it on the bird's head, and then removed his seal, finger guard, jade pendant, and other items one by one. Finally, he took off a jade-carved human-shaped pendant from his neck, took a glance at it, and casually threw it aside. The little bee-fang didn't know what important thing it was, and his feathers ruffled as it anxiously chased after the pendant, carefully holding it in its beak. But by the time it looked up again, the man had already walked away with his hair and clothes disheveled, heading towards Chi-Wan. The little bee-fang anxiously called out and didn't care about the jade pendant anymore, flapping its wings to catch up. Chi-Wan was cracked for thousands of miles, rolling with violent magma with no grass growing on either bank. As it neared the edge of the cliff, the feathers on the bee-fang's wings suddenly ignited in black flames, causing it to scream in agony and roll to the ground, almost turning into a roast chicken, unable to move forward. The little bird was like, "I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave you, Emperor. I want to stay with you." And the Emperor is just like taking off everything. He's like, this jade, this pendant, his headgear, everything, and goodness, he's just abandoning it all. This is not looking good. However, Xinxiao had walked step by step to the edge of the cliff, his robe sleeves and boots already charred, the mask-like calm on his face cracked, revealing a hint of pleasure and madness. Still better to be immortal. A mortal who's only experienced a few decades of joy and suffering in their fleeting life. The pain that the body can feel is always limited, often before the pain is even felt. The person is already released from it. But he might have to suffer a little. The little bee-fang let out a miserable scream, and Xinxiao leaped into the sea of fire. Oh no, he jumped. The hot wind hit him in the face like flames, and his skin and flesh were quickly burned into charcoal. Layer by layer, from his hair to his skin, his blood vessels burst inside his body, blasting through the charred skin and flesh. His blood boiled, and all the meridians in his body were shattered. He coughed up a mouthful of ash, not knowing whether it was his heart or lungs. Oh, oof. Oh dear. No, buddy. Oh goodness. Why? Next, his body crashed into the molten lava of the Earth's core. The surface of the lava had a hard shell, but his body was too strong. Falling from a towering cliff, he didn't break apart, but instead his spine was shattered and his body was battered against the lava's shell. Flames surged high like banners, and the Earth's core, which could melt gold and jade, opened its mouth and swallowed him whole. Even then, he still didn't die. He's not mortal. If a person could experience a bone-crushing and ash-rising event, then all the so-called heart-wrenching moments in the world would probably become nothing more than floating ashes on a rock. The ups and downs of his life, joys and sorrows, all melted together with his consciousness, being refined and purified by the great fire. On that day, laughter echoed through Chiwang, until the leftover limbs that could not be burned slowly sank, and the disturbed lava returned to its calm state. Emperor Wu, the youngest son of Emperor Ping, Xin Shao. Emperor Ping was killed by the Yao clan and died in battle with Qinwan. Chiwu succeeded as emperor. In his youth, he experienced hardships and tribulations. At the age of 21, he beheaded the Demon King under the city of Yonghe and changed the ring to Qixing? Qicheng. Oh, goodness. Wait. Okay, this guy killed the Demon King? Okay, sorry. Sorry. He killed a Demon King. Oh my goodness. At the age of 21, he beheaded a Demon King under the city of Yonghan and changed the ring to Qingchong. He restored the country, expanded its borders, and his achievements were comparable to those of the 5 emperors. He was ruthless and cruel and overturned the norms of society. He enjoyed his reign for 21 years before he killed himself under the fire of Chiwang, and his body and bones were completely destroyed. Emperor Wen succeeded him. 10 years later, the fire was extinguished, and Chiwang became peaceful. Emperor Wen removed the boundary markers and established the tomb of Emperor Wu. Okay. Emperor Wen was the nephew. Okay. Emperor Wu just died. After thousands of years, the forest grew on the ashes of Chiwang, and the original forest in the Chiwang Canyon became the national 5A level scenic spot. A mysterious movement deep within the earth was felt, followed by blurry and unsettling murmurs. The noise grew louder and louder, being carried by some unknown process and pierced into his consciousness like steel needles. What is that sound? Who dares make such a racket? I am willing to sacrifice everything. As a medium, under the 9 nether springs, the ancient gods and demons. Demon. His consciousness was awaked by the noisy clamor, but for a moment he was confused. Before he fully regained his senses, his perspection instinctively betrayed his will. His senses, which had been dormant for thousands of years, suddenly awakened, greedily extending their tentacles and expanding outward, sucking in every fresh detail around him. Oh. Yeah, he didn't die. Like it said, he didn't die. He was just dormant for 1,000 years. Holy crap. This caused the noisy world outside to rush into his consciousness, flowing in through his senses, the feeling of mud, the scent of soil, the sound of wind, the rustling of leaves, footsteps, human voices. What kind of person is disturbing my sleep? The feeling of losing control stirred up his anger, and he was momentarily furious. A foreboding black cloud surfaced in his sea of consciousness, and his thoughts manifested as a sharp claw that struck back at the sound that dared to disturb him. How dare you! But just then, in the midst of chaos and restlessness, his newly awakened senses suddenly caught a faint but familiar scent, like a gentle breeze passing by. His turbulent sea of consciousness suddenly cleared, and his heart trembled inexplicably for the first time in thousands of years. What was that? His killing intent dissipated in an instant. But before he could capture it, the scent disappeared again. Wait. Don't go. He couldn't remember who he was or where he was, but he instinctively wanted to keep that elusive scent. Ignoring the other noises in his ear, he struggled desperately. The next moment, his sea of consciousness shook violently, and he could feel his body. Then there was a crisp sound, and the wind brushed his forehead. He suddenly opened his eyes, and the long-lost sunlight made him shed tears. He then realized that he was lying amidst the shattered remains of a coffin, with a small cluster of thin, fiery red bird feathers, down feathers, in his arms. His bird! Aww. What, did his bird stay with him? After being underground for who knows how many years that had already dried up, sustained only by a faint spiritual energy of unknown origin, they dispersed at the slightest breeze, but he just managed to grab them. The small cluster of feathers turned into floating dust in his palm, dissipating into thin air. He curled his fingers and looked at his empty palm for a while, then slightly tilted his head back, squinting at the billowing dust and chaos in the air. Human world, he thought. Am I a zombie? You may be a zombie. That's the end of the prologue. Oh, Skye is the translator. Happy readers make me float like a cloud in the sky. If you enjoy my translations and want to read them more quickly, I'll translate bonus chapters as a thank you for a coffee. Okay, there you go. I'm going to have a link down below so you guys can go send a coffee to Skye if you want to. Skye worked hard on this. That was incredible. Oh, wow. I'm like, oh, the burb. The burb. The burb. Oh, Wings. Is he the burb? Is he the burb? Huh? Huh? Are you a burb? I see burb wings. Okay. Okay. I'm done with the burb. Okay, so is this our boy? Is this our boy that just woke up from his 1,000-year nap? I think it fits the bill. Huh, this is intriguing. Yeah. I'm gonna try holding back from watching this series, the anime, until we're a bit farther in. Oh goodness, but this is really cool. I think this is interesting. I want to know what the heck is he gonna get up to. He woke up 1,000 years later. The world had to have been changed. Is he like in the modern era now? Or is it still like an ancient era? I did not read ahead because I wanted to share this with you guys. But if you like this, let me know down below or leave a like. And I'll be sure to continue the series. Leaving likes on my video is the best way for me to know that you guys are excited for the next part. And I'm excited. Okay. I will see you in the next part. Bye.